Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons with a dry brined roast turkey. Alright, there is my turkey. At one end it will have some bits in like the offal, and the other end they put the neck in. I know, it just looks really rude. Try not to snigger. Alright, so patting dry, this is important. This is a couple of days or a day and a half ahead of when you're having it, because this is going to be dry brined. What's dry brining? Well, basically, it's like wet brining, which is a salty water solution, but without the water. So salt, mostly, and then we can impart some other flavours into there. The full recipe will be in the description below, but I've got some dried herbs and some lots and lots of pepper. So now, let's give this thing a thorough coating, a rub and massage with this brine mixture. So basically just take a few minutes of your day here and rub every single little bit of the surface skin with this brine. And what's it going to do, Uncle Matt? I hear you asking. Well, basically it's going to season. It's going to help to penetrate deeper into it, because it's going to have that time period to actually get to work. But what it also does, apparently, well, it's going to help to dry out the skin, and so the skin will get extra crispy. And they tell me, the experts say, that it actually leaves you with a more moist bird. Okay, I'm just a cook. I just do what they say, but it was very nice. So there we go. We've got some inside the cavity as well. The whole thing, we went under the armpits, if that's what you want to call it, uncovered in the fridge, at least a day. But I've gone for a day and a half, and this is a day and a half later. 2 days will be fine if you're asking. So these vegetables you see me preparing here, they act as a trivet when we're roasting the bird, but also it's going to make a wonderful gravy. But you can just use some rolled up tinfoil if you like, if you don't want to do the vegetables gravy. But why wouldn't you? And the leeks need a thorough wash, because leeks get all gritty between the layers. So arrange your mirepoix, that's the fancy French word for it, and the roasting tray. Mine's a bit wobbly, but it did the job. And that's the neck. Chop that up, because that's going to go and make a wonderful gravy as well. Herbs all going inside the cavity, and forgot to film it, half of that garlic bulb went inside there as well. And now smear this thing all over with butter. It's going to help to make it more moist. The butter's going to sort of baste as it roasts in the oven. It's basically just a win-win. That butter is great. Okay, so it looks pretty gross. If you got the butter a little bit softer, it might go on a bit easier, but just work that in all the areas. You're only going to do this probably once a year, aren't you? So, or maybe twice. So you want it to be as good as it can possibly be. So there we go. Got the oven on 180. That's 350 Fahrenheit. This is after 1.5 hours. Basically, use one of these little thermometers there. So it's not quite there yet. Want it to be at least over 70, I would say, and it's going to have a long rest. But I didn't want it to get any more colour, so cover it with tin foil, aluminium foil, aluminum foil, wherever you are, however you want to mispronounce that word. There we go. Over 70. Now that core temperature will continue to rise, because the energy, the science is all going on here. Who knows? It's just still going to get hotter because it's got heat in it. So I gave that another 10 minutes just to sit in the tray. So a lot of the juice is going to come out. That's for the gravy. That's important. See my last video that I did. And then going to sit that on a plate. Keep it somewhere warm-ish. Back on with the tin foil, and then another added little blanket. There you go. So that had a minimum of 1 hour resting. That gives you all the time you want to sort of get your roast potatoes and stuff all finished off, doesn't it? That's important. But that rest is so important, because this way then you'll have moisture in the meat. The breasts are going to be hopefully not dry, and the legs are going to be properly cooked, because you don't want to gross people out with undercooked turkey leg. It's not very nice. So now we're going to remove the wishbone. So that was just taking off that little bit of skin. Don't worry, I found a home for that. And you can expose, this is at the neck end, the wishbone with your little knife. Pull that out, and then what you do, if you make cooking videos, you wish that more people will watch them and like them and rumble them, because this is another one just for rumble. off with the flat part of the wings, because that's going to make taking the legs off a little bit easier. So basically, when you're doing this, you're just jointing. You're cutting to, you're finding where the joint is, you're cutting to it, and then you dislocate, and it should just come away easy. So there we go. Well, I'm identifying where the leg is, and you can see that it's a leg. So just sort of, we're going to separate it from the breast. So just remove the skin there. Now, if you flip it on the side, I'm going to show you there, that's where the oyster is. The oyster is this mystical, wonderful bit of meat that sort of hangs out on the back part of the bird. It's so tasty and tender. You don't want to leave that on there. So use the knife, follow the shape, keep it as close to the bone. That's the whole concept of butchery or jointing. The knife leaves almost the smallest amount of meat left on the bone as you possibly can. There you go. I can't explain it any better. Somebody else can probably find some better words. A wordsmith probably. That's not me. I'm just a cook who's talking rubbish. So there's the other leg. That's come off. Now we have what's called a crown, really. I like to take the breasts off completely, because then when you carve it, everyone gets a bit of skin. It's not fair, is it? You just start carving from the side and one person gets all the skin and somebody else doesn't get any. That's not right. It's Christmas. It's all about sharing. So if you aim the knife directly down the middle of the breastbone, it's naturally going to fall slightly one side to the other, and then basically you follow that principle I was talking about. You just keep the knife as close to the bone as possible, and then when you get to the wing joint, you see it there, dislocate, and the knife will just go through. You haven't got a cut bone. It just goes through like cutting butter, really. And there's the other side, just showing you again. There it is. Just move that around a bit, dislocate it, the knife follows through. Don't throw that carcass away. That'll make a wonderful gravy for another day. Pop it in the freezer. There's me just taking off the drum part of the wing. So and cutting the legs in half. So removing the thigh from the drumstick. This is again, find the middle point. There it is. Dislocate it. Let the knife just go through. And this is easier with a cooked bird than it is a raw bird, by the way. So there we go. We've got a couple of drums, a couple of thighs, a couple of breasts. Bosh. This is how I like to carve. You see the point there. Everyone's getting a bit of skin. Everyone's happy. And I don't like to carve it too thin because it dries out and goes cold quite quickly. And a little bit there went in me. This is the privilege the cook gets. You get to have all the little nibbles. And you end up looking like me in this video. So arranging the breasts nicely on a platter there. I want to take out the thigh bone from this thigh. So you find where the bone is. You just cut down either side of it. There's a little bit of meat that's going to be on top, so you just sort of get your knife between that, because you're not going to throw any of these bits away, or there's probably more nibbles for you while everyone's waiting. There we go. And that it leaves you the bone exposed, and you can just get underneath that with your knife, follow it all the way along. There is bits of gristle in the thigh. This is what turns a few people off from the leg meat. You know, sometimes there's a bit there. So just try to remove those gristly bits, because it's very off-putting when you get that in your gob. It's not very nice. You're going to have to spit it out, aren't you? And I like to carve up the thigh in a similar way to the breast, nice and thick pieces. I will never get awards for my presentation. With the drums, I decided to try to do a dramatic bit in the video where we chop it off in slow motion. There it is in real speed. And that's I can't be bothered to try to fill it away from the drums, so they're just going to go on there and someone can pick one up banquet style and nosh away on it. You might want to present those rather than doing it on a platter. So here's another way of doing it with some of the other videos I've done. There's the stuffing, roast potatoes there, and the gravy. All those from recent videos I've put on Rumble. Hope you enjoy those, and I hope you really enjoy Christmas. Doesn't that look nice? Just wonderful. Lashings and lashings of beautiful turkey gravy, and I ruin it with a bit of parsley because I'm an idiot. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. Hope you love this, and I will see you again pretty soon, and happy Christmas.